them do. Okay. Welcome. Nice to meet you in person. Thank you. Hi, Rob. It's Rob, isn't it?
It is, Rob.
Yeah. So, I'm Barb, and I'm one of the program planning people who do the programs with students, prospective students, of what we could offer.
Okay.
So what we're looking at is, you were speaking a bit about thinking about going into performing arts and then possibly moving on into a university degree. Is that what you're still thinking of? I'm just going to take some notes. Would you mind me taking notes while we do this?
No, that's fine. I would like to find out a little bit more about some sort of career in the, I'm not sure about performing creative arts anyway.
Yeah.
I've thought about sort of possibilities of working in films maybe or theatre. Just always wondered what goes on in some of those jobs, and I guess at school I used to work, used to do a bit of work on the productions and do scenery for productions. I don't mind doing a bit of sewing either. It's you know, bit of fun. Do that for myself. That's one thing. I also graphic design, something I'm interested in too, as a possibility. So I guess I'm just not sure how good my skills are, and I thought it might be good to do a course where I can test that out, see how they go. And then, depending on how I go, I can have a bit of a closer look at, what else I can do to pursue possibilities in the area of, creative arts.
So you originally said you thought you might go on and do a tertiary course, like a university degree course. So I'm trying to think about what units you might be good for you to lead into that. Is that still a possibility?
Yeah, it is. I'm not overly sure. Uni's a bit scary, the thought of uni. A bit scary. I haven't been the greatest student in my life. So yeah, that's a bit scary. But if I could see a purpose for it, I'd certainly be willing to do it. And if I think if I'm confident enough, I'd give it a shot.
Okay, that sounds good. So when you told me some of those things, you did mention some of the things about performing arts. I thought there's basically two programs I was looking at, and I'll explain a bit about the first one, and then I'll explain a bit about the second one, and then you can have a bit of a think about any more information you might like to know about either of them.
Okay.
So I was looking at a range of courses. The first one, because you mentioned something about theatre and production, there's a certificate too in creative arts, creative industries. Yep. And the certificate 2 in creative industries really is a course that focuses on entertainment, staging, television, radio, broadcasting, satellite scenery, film production. So it covers off some of those things that you said, but it's very focused on that particular industry. Yep. And Cert 2 you might like because you were concerned about whether they'd let you in because your qualifications back when you were at school. Yeah. But there's no prerequisite requirement to get into that course. Yeah. And the packaging rules, so they're the things that you have to complete, are things like 10 units of work over the year, which is not too bad a number, like roughly 5 a semester. 3 of those are core that you have to do, you don't get a choice of. And then there'd be 7 electives. And they would need to be completed, and you want to try and get a good variety of those to help get you in. One thing in this course, because it's industry related, is that you have to, the licensing legislation requirement means that you have to do a national code of practice for the induction as a construction worker, because set building means you have to have that qualification, so that's part of the things that have to fit into that.
Yeah. Okay.
So it wouldn't lead you directly into uni. You'd still have Unit 3 and Unit 4 to complete as ways to go into that. And it probably wouldn't directly put you into, if you mentioned graphic arts, you probably wouldn't have enough of the drawing and technical skills and design skills, colour and things like that in that course. You might be able to find some units, but it would be harder to be able to jump into a different direction from that course. So how do you feel about focusing on your career at this time of the study into that area?
It sounds interesting. It does seem to focus a bit much on one industry, and I'm not really sure at the moment. So, like you said, I'd have to get that construction certificate. I'd have to, and it's really all about just one industry. I'm still sort of exploring. 10 units seems pretty full on. A lot of time. I sort of hoped I'd be able to start maybe, and it's only certificate 2, I sort of hoped I'd be able to start a bit higher up the ladder. But I guess if I need to start earlier, I've got to start earlier.
Well, that's what you might find interesting about this other certificate that I actually looked into, because you were worried about not getting into the courses, and there's another one that's called Certificate 3 in Visual Arts.
Yep.
And I'm just wondering how you might find this one. It again does not require any prerequisite subjects or qualifications to get into it. So you'd already be starting a year ahead from the other course. It still allow you to move into production arts course when you know to go at a university, because you'd have the creative folio and the work behind that to move into that. But you'd also have the options of sort of moving into more of a graphic or architectural or other design focused areas. Would you like to know a bit more about that course?
Yeah, I would. And I suppose my questions before about having perhaps needing something a bit broader. So I guess wanting to know something about the range of practical skills that I could develop.
Okay.
And I guess I said before about having that flash at school. So I know I'm going to need a bit of help with my reading and writing sort of skills as well.
Okay, so I'll talk to you a little bit more down the track. I'll explain a little bit about the course, and then we'll go through, and then we'll go back through about the reading and writing skills. Okay. So I don't know if you've they're just things that you don't feel comfortable with, or whether there's been, like, you're dyslexic or have something that we often have a lot of students with different levels of reading and writing. So
didn't get very good marks for English.
Okay. So we do have support for that. So any students who are coming and returning to study, we can provide you with additional support. Sometimes it's a bit difficult now with COVID. Lucky you could make it today, because most of these interviews have been online lately. So if you were in that situation, so some of the units I'm looking at suggesting in this program would be units that would improve your numeracy and literacy skills in relation to being ready to go to uni as well. So I've sort of thought of units in particular that would actually be giving you the creative skills, but some really kind of focused on other areas that would actually help you in both ways. So I'll just run through a bit about it, and I'll come back about the support. So you don't have any prerequisites, and the packaging rule is that you would have to complete 12 units. So you said you were a bit worried about 10, but 12 units would put you a year ahead. So you kind of like doing 2 more units, but you're finishing a year ahead from the other certificate. 4 of those are core, so 4 of them you have to do, and 8 are electives. Which,
so I get a bit of choice.
Yeah, so you get a bit of choice, and the different types, like I've sort of suggested some different practical ones, but like I might have thought about painting and textiles and sculpture, and you might go, I'd really like to do printing rather than painting or something like that. So there's some different spots, and there's a whole range of other different creative subjects. There's ones in colour and different focuses, which sounds good. Also too, some of these units could be contextualised, and such as like the textile, produced textile work unit. And you could actually do costumes for that. Okay. So you could do costumes and leave that option open, so you're actually creating your folio to move into a production art costume type area, but you don't have to, because it still would pass the course.
Yep.
Same with painting, can be contextualised so that you could actually make more of a focus on set design and
Yep.
larger paintings and murals, as opposed to necessarily doing small, fine, delicate paintings. So there's room to make it suit you within the course structure, and we can work through those. So how's that sounding to you at the moment?
Yeah, it sounds good, and it seems as though it gives me a little, like, it allows me to focus. So, you know, I do a little bit of work with the local production company, play group, and so it sounds as though I could fit my work, fit the course with some of the stuff I do for them. So that sounds good. So yeah, seems to be pretty practical in that sense, and also give me the range of options to try different things out. You know, for theatre, maybe for film. Yeah. Yeah, I suppose would that mean I could, you know, produce stuff in other areas, and even graphics and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so when you're doing some of the drawing units, you can actually do some things in those different parts of the course, and you may choose some different ones from what I suggest.
Yeah.
But you can choose some ones that will actually let you make sure you're getting a folio that will let you get into a variety of different courses. Yeah. And I guess because you're saying you want to see if you've got the skills and the ability to work at that level, is what you mentioned to me earlier. Yeah. On the phone, I've been thinking, well, really, there's a good variety of different mediums, and if you find you feel like you have a strength in one area over another, you can actually then say, okay, well, next year I will move more into this, and I'll make my course actually suit.
So it allows me to sort of do what was in the first piece 2, you know, the first certificate 2, but then do more. Yeah. And broaden it. Yeah. So that sounds good.
And so really, like, you know, the assessment criteria is what's what you have to cover off and match in the course, as opposed to you can do different products as long as they're matching the assessment criteria. So your focus, that's why we can change the context of it a little bit. Yeah. Other aspects you could do within this course are things like, as I was talking earlier about, things that build some numeracy and literacy. So maintain financial records. I find that anyone who's in any design type career, actually, whether they're working independently or they're, like you say, you're working for helping out a local theatre company, knowing how to keep the budgets and materials and ordering and what's within your budget is a good thing to be able to do. So therefore, bring a bit of numeracy into the course and give you a bit of confidence in that area. If you will go on to uni. And the other ones, there's a couple of subjects. There's a lot of history-based subjects, but there's research and history, but there's also implementing copyright arrangements, which I've always found really useful to know myself, because you don't want to breach copyright. So sometimes we have students who go into these courses who try and copy other artists and don't actually understand that you need to appropriate the work and change it and acknowledge that artist. So there's a whole lot of licensing laws around that. So it is getting to know what that actually means and doesn't mean. Now, you were saying before that you... did I mention about the support? Did I mention that or not?
Yeah, you did, and I said I didn't do very well in English because a teacher kept telling me I must be dyslexic or something, so I don't know.
Okay. So we've had a lot of students who've been dyslexic. So we've had a lot of students who find those difficult, and that's where we have those one-on-one supports. We actually offer students a different choice of support. So some students actually just like to get a computer software program that will read the information they're being given to them and highlight it as it goes through, so they can actually follow and improve their reading skills. And then they can type in their work and it will read it back to them, and therefore they're kind of getting that control over it. Yeah. And that program, a number of students have found quite good at, but also too, we need to teach you how to use it, and so it recognises your voice and all that sort of stuff properly. So that takes a little bit of time, but a lot of students find that once they've got that tool, you know, I've heard students going on to uni saying I still use it because it just makes me feel safe and secure, and I know when things don't sound right, therefore I know they're not written right. So it works around that. The other thing is, like, if you've got to do a written assessment,
Yep.
I know some students, I don't know what your handwriting's like, but I know some have very difficult writing
Pretty
to
crap.
read. So part of what we also offer is a scribe who can also scribe for you. Now, the scribe won't write down the answers, they'll only write what you tell them, so they're not going to change anything you've said. And then they can even read it back to you, and you can get them to modify things if it doesn't sound right. But some people even do it on a computer program. They prefer doing it on a computer, even if it is a test type situation.
Yeah. That sounds
Have
good.
you ever used those before? Have you ever had anything like that when you were at school?
My parents actually suggested, I think one of those, some of that software you were talking about. The teacher used to help me, wasn't very keen on that. I think they might have thought that do them out of a job.
Yeah. Okay. So we
that
want
didn't
to.
happen.
Yeah. So what really the aim is that we can empower you to be in control of your learning
Sounds
as
good.
much as we can, and then your confidence will change when you get used to using different tools. And you may not. Some students don't even.
Do I
need
have to
them
pay
after
for
a while.
that?
No, that's something that we provide because we want to make sure you're supported properly.
Oh, that's good.
Student support's part of this program. Okay. Okay, and if you're going to go through and meet with some people about support, I'm just going to say this now in case I forget later, is it's a really good idea to write down some notes of the things you'd like support with. In particular, you might go, look, I'm really good at maths, but I'm not good at reading the maths symbols or writing it. So just be really specific and write down some notes so when you actually get there, or record some notes.
Doesn't matter if it doesn't look very, can't read much.
Or I was going to say, or record it.
Okay.
Record it so when you get there, you can actually play it back and go, look, I just want to check that I'm not missing something I want to say.
Okay.
That will make
That's
it more focused
Yes.
and better support. So I guess each student has an assessment conditions, knowledge of evidence, and performance evidence. So they're the things that you're going to be specific about what has to be assessed in each unit that you do. It doesn't matter which course you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, they all have that aspect, and assessments for each method for each of those units usually are a combination of these, but not all of them. Maybe about 2 to 3.
Yeah.
Sometimes 4: questioning, production of an item, a portfolio, observation, and there's times when we need a third-party report or a testimonial from someone. So stuff you might be doing out by the right, correct person who's qualified. Or it might, because at the moment with COVID, we're finding we're not allowed to go and visit people in other settings, schools or other places.
Yeah.
We can't come to your home and see you and assess you. Yeah. So you might.
I don't have to remember all this. The teachers help me with all this stuff.
Yeah, so we'll go through all that and there'll be people there to be your mentors and coach you through.
Okay.
Okay, so the practical units, they normally run in workshops.
Yeah.
Okay, and the theory units are usually in class, and we're doing a bit more of those online and giving that combination of both. The COVID restrictions are really having a big impact on attendance and where we can go, and there's a whole unit on that when you arrive at TAFE. Do you have any? I've given you my card.
Yeah.
So you can email me, and just be aware that when you email me, it usually takes 2 working days. That's like 2 days between Monday to Friday. Not because I'm not always sitting at my desk and I'm not always checking my emails immediately. So I'll get back to you within 2 working days with any questions you might have, and clarify anything that you might be not sure of, because sometimes you're not completely sure if it's what's meant by something I said, so you want to get it clarified so you're actually really
Now, I'm not that good at writing, so if I just send you a quick email, would you ring me back? Talk to me?
If you want that, I'm happy to ring you back if you feel that. So you can send me an email, you can phone me. My card has a phone number on it. But sometimes people find that frustrating if I'm I'm in a teaching sessions and meetings and I can't actually reply for a couple of days.
Better if you chase me than me chase you.
And the other thing is I might be able to kind of or even send you a message with a couple of times and days just to help you.
Yeah, all right.
Do you have any other questions or things you'd like to know about at the moment?
No, you've answered. I'm a bit nervous about this because I haven't been great at school, and I guess I'm a bit worried about how I'm going to go. You've sort of answered a lot of that. I think I'm probably going to need a bit of reassurance along the way. That's mainly it, and maybe even a bit of flexibility in how I go about stuff.
So that's where we contextualise things to suit you a bit, and we have support groups.
Yeah.
But you'll find the teachers and stuff in each of these units are really, really supportive.
Yeah.
They have a lot of students who are quite nervous about re-entering
Yeah.
the learning environment, because there's some who haven't been there for sometimes people up to 10, 20, 30 years decide that they really never learned something that they wanted to know. And it sounds to me like you're starting with an area that's interesting and a strength, something that you enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And most people, when they're starting with something that they really enjoy, put in that effort to actually be successful at it. And I'm pretty sure that with our support in our programs, we can really make a program that's tailored for you.
And the assessment stuff you talked about sounded as though there was rules and that, but it was a bit flexible. I wasn't just going to have to write stuff and.
No, so like portfolios will have some aspect, but again, if you're writing in your portfolio, I found that the support teachers actually often talk about, or even the teachers sometimes say, students who don't feel confident, they often write down when they've got to write up annotations in their portfolio.
Yeah.
They might scribe for them onto a sticky note, and sometimes that student wants to rewrite it, or they might get the student to voice record as they go through their book what's happening through, and that voice recording comes through with their portfolio, so it's a double backup. So we're open to different things. As long as we can actually see what's happening and have something that we can actually, a tangible assessment, and if you haven't covered off all those things, you're just not competent yet. So you might be competent in 2 of the 3, and then when you get the 3rd, you become competent in that complete unit.
Okay.
So it takes a little bit of time, but yeah.
Okay. That sounds okay. I'll need a bit of time to think about it.
No, so do contact me, and I look forward to hearing from you in the future.
Okay.
And thank you. Lucky we should be touching hands in COVID time. We better elbow instead.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. I'll check up and see how you're going. If you've got any other questions, and I can find other courses if you're wanting to look a bit different.
Thanks for that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.